Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, Tank12, however you call me, I don't really care. Welcome back to World of Tanks, and I'm back from the army, and finally I have some free time. Let's take a look at the official auction first though, Under the Hammer from World of Tanks, where they are going to be selling us some very rare vehicles for gold and free experience. And I'm going to tell you guys all that you need to know about it, what it's going to be like, and what kind of tanks you could expect, since most of this is all rumors. No list has officially been leaked, I think. These are rumors, so you don't really know what's going to be coming out, but you know that you can only get them for gold or free experience. And I want to talk about the tanks that might be coming in there because I've seen them on certain lists, and quite a few players are talking about them. Hopefully, if they do come out and if they are the vehicles, turns out to be right, you do have a little bit of information on what these tanks are. But first, let's take a look at the video that Wargaming have released so we can see what it's all about. We have the list, then we have the very first kind of clue. It's a triangle. We have like theater glasses. We have a letter opener and a letter. We have a book with a rabbit's kind of tail in there. And we have a Russian egg. So obviously these are supposed to be the several days, right? We don't really know which one of them are like what kind of tank, but what we know is there are certain lists of tanks that is going around currently, and I've listed them up and I've taken them into the data pool, so hopefully we can take a look at them. So one of them is supposed to be the Object 268 version 5. This is a Soviet tier 10 premium tank destroyer that has been in World of Tanks for about 5 years. No, about 4 years. This tank has been on the Chinese server for a very long time. You could buy this one for gold and for money straight up on the Chinese server, and yeah, they have been playing this vehicle for a few years now, at least for 4 years, because I remember Quickie Baby making a video on this tank, and this tank has some quite nice features on it, but also has some big downsides if you look at the stats. So this is the first tank that we're going to take a look at, so strap in. Hopefully I can give you guys some information and you can decide for yourself if it is worth it or not if it does come into the auction. Now keep in mind, everything here is still a rumor, and the auction in the end is going to be quite expensive because players will be wanting to be buying these premium tanks because they're quite rare. So this tank has never made it to the other World of Tanks servers, and it is basically a T10 with a very big turret and a big 152mm gun. So far so good. So you expect some decent mobility, you expect no armor, and you expect a very punchy gun. That is basically what you're getting with this one. Let's take a look at the armor before we go into the other stats. You have 120mm up front. Effective, it is up to 230 or 240mm thick. The lower plate is only 184mm thick effectively, so this is the T10 hull. This tank does not have a lot of armor, and it shows. So the lower plate, very easy. The upper plate, very easy to go through. Even tier 9, tier 8 tanks shouldn't really have a big problem facing this vehicle when it comes to being able to penetrate the upper and lower plate of the vehicle. Looking at the turret only has a max thickness of 230mm, except for the gun mantlet, which is a bit thicker, which has effectively up to 500mm of armor. But other than that, you can see that as soon as you go a bit further to the right, the thickness of the armor on the turret goes down rapidly. So right here, it's only 234mm thick, 220 over here. So yeah, those are spots that you can probably pen. Even with the angling, it doesn't seem to be that extremely powerful. Then you have one of the biggest weak spots that I've ever seen in a Soviet tank. It's the cupola with 110mm of armor, or 160, or 120. So very, very big and easy, juicy target to shoot at. So yeah, that's something you have to keep in mind when you're playing this tank or when you're playing against it. So it has a 152mm gun, and we're going to go right into the stats to see what the tank is all about. We're not going to take any kind of equipment on this vehicle, and we're not going to take any field modifications. We're just going to look at the bare minimum of the tank, and then you can paint a picture for yourself what it's going to be like and if it's going to be good or not. You have 2,400 DPM, 750 alpha damage for a single shot, 303 millimeters of penetration, which is great. You have heat shells as as premium shells, which have 395 millimeters of penetration, and you have an atrocious rate of fire, 3.19 rounds per minute. Yeah, think about that. That is 19 seconds reload time. That is really, really bad. Aim time is also not the best, 2.88. Dispersion, on the other hand, could be worse, could be better. It's not the worst. You can deal with that. Moving on, you can see that the mobility on this vehicle with 48 kilometers per hour top speed is actually quite nice if you think about it. Reverse speed with 15 kilometers per hour is quite bad, but the problem is you don't have really the power to weight ratio, so yeah, your tank is not going to be accelerating very quickly, and you can see that the effective speed on hard, medium, and soft terrain do differ quite substantially. So yeah, on soft and medium terrain, this tank does not perform very well, only 23.21 kilometers per hour, and on hard, it's only 33.53. So the 48 kilometers per hour top speed mark is something you will mostly only achieve when going downhill on hard surfaces, so it's going to be quite difficult to get that speed when you're driving just on a plain slope. The traverse speed is also quite bad, 20.86 degrees per second. Also the turret traverse with 18.77 degrees per second. Like, all of these stats are really, really bad. Not very good. Gun elevation is 15 degrees, you can work with that. Gun depression is only 5 degrees, that is quite the shame because it is a Soviet tank. You'd expect it to have bad gun depression, but most of the newer tanks now have decent gun depression of at least 7 degrees, and this one goes back to the 5 degrees. So yeah, not very good in my opinion. The gun traverse is 24 degrees per second to swivel the gun over to the left and right. It's okay. It's still on the lower side of okay. And the hull armor, turret armor, you can see is already quite bad. This is not something that this tank can really boast. It doesn't have any armor because it's a T10 hull. It only has 1,900 HP for a tier 10 tank destroyer. That is not a lot. As you can see right here, it takes about 12.3 seconds to repair the tracks, I think. And it weighs about 55 tons. One of the really big downsides is also the view range, 360 meters on this tank. That is quite atrocious. It is a tank destroyer though, so it usually doesn't have really good view range. But if you look at all the stats, this tank just doesn't seem to be very competitive, especially in the new World of Tanks meta, where tanks need to be fast and they need to have at least some degree of turret armor to be effective because everything is in a hull down place. So this tank is not going to be able to be hull down because of that very big tumor on top. And yeah, it just doesn't look very appealing to me, although it is a very special kind of tank. So if this tank goes for about 20 to 30,000 gold, I think I would rather leave my hands off of it unless you have a lot of gold. So moving on, we have the T95 E2, which is supposed to be one of the tanks that is coming out as well. Let me just pick this one out real fast in Tanks GG. No, I don't want to see the. I do not want to see the player. I want to see the vehicle that I can find right here. So let me just see real fast where it actually is. It is a tier 8 medium tank. One that you actually got when there was still the what was it, the invite program where you invited friends, and you can see right here this tank actually made it into the game as a premium vehicle, but without the cupola on top, which is like the TL1 PC, which is quite a powerful vehicle. But let's check this one out first. So we have 101 millimeters of armor at the front, which is effective up to 200 millimeters at the front. Even up here, it's like 250 millimeters thick. The lower plate is only 76 millimeters thick, so it's quite easily penetratable. The side is not very thick. You have about 50 millimeters with the tracks. You have about 70. and the rear obviously is not very well armored at all. The turret, on the other hand, since it's a, it's a patent turret, is quite nicely armored with the very big gun mantlet right there, up to 300 millimeters thick. But then you have, like, right here, really weirdly, that the gun, there's like a place where you can shoot and it goes right through. I'm not really sure if it's the angle or something like that. But then you have, like, the side next to the turret, which is effectively only 159 millimeters thick. So I understand how people are able to penetrate my cheeks all the time, because they just shoot right there. Then you have the machine gun port and the commander's hatch on top, which is a very big weak spot, so you don't really have to think about anything on the turret as long as you see that big cupola on top. So it has 2000 DPM. It has a 90mm gun with 190mm of pen, 250 with heat shells, which is quite nice to have. And yeah, its aim time is quite nice. Dispersion is okay as well. It has 56 km per hour top speed, which also does transfer quite nicely onto the hard surface and the medium surface. Even though the power to weight ratio is not the best, on soft terrain this tank does suffer quite a bit though. As you can see right here, it's only 32.12 kilometers per hour, but it doesn't look too bad. You have 9 degrees of gun depression, which is really nice. You have 19 degrees of gun elevation. Your track traverse is 37.55 degrees per second, which is not horrible either. It's okay, especially for a medium tank of this size. The turret traverse is 45.89 degrees per second, which is decent, is good enough in my opinion. And you have 400 meters view range, which is quite good. That is very nice to have. A base view range of 400 meters, that is going to push it to 440 with all the right skills and the right equipment. You can get it all the way to 470, maybe even 500 with the field modifications. Moving on to the health, it has 1500 HP, which isn't too bad either. So yeah, this tank doesn't seem to be a bad pick in terms of stats. Obviously, it's the question just if you want to play a medium tank that only has 240 alpha, and the pen on the AP shell is a bit lacking. 190 millimeters with AP shells at tier 8 is not very nice, so you have to resort to premium shells a lot of the times if you want to be able to engage those tier 9 and tier 10 tanks. So yeah, that is one of the things that you have to look at. But this is probably one of the tanks that is coming to into the auction. Then we have the 113, the Opera, which is basically just a 113 with a Chinese Opera skin. This has been a server exclusive for the Chinese server. So that is the question, if you're willing to spend a lot of money for a reskinned tier 10 heavy tank, even though it is a premium, since you can train your crew in it. I'm not really sure if it's something that you want to do. Yeah, keep that in mind. Then the next one is supposedly the Turtle MK1, which is tier 8 premium tank destroyer. But I'm not really sure if this one is going to be if it's going to be in the auction, because this tank is basically readily available in the premium shop if you're able to get one of the days where they sell it. But it's nothing too special, so I'm not really sure if they want to do it with this one. The tank itself is quite nice. It has quite a bit of armor at the front. It's supposed to be a mini tortoise. It does quite a bit of damage when it's able to shoot at you, because it has a very big DPM. So yeah, that's a very nice tank to look at. Another tank that we could be getting is the WZ-111, the Quelin, which is a tier 10 Chinese heavy tank, which basically just has the very special look of a dragon. So another reskin of a tank, and which is really expensive. They sold this one prior in the black market, I think, and it was really expensive. I didn't get it because I already had like WZ-111. Why would I get it once more? It's kind of a waste of gold and bonds and credits or whatever they had right there going for it. So that means we have the Object 268 version 5, the T95E2, we have the 113, we have the Turtle MK1, and finally the WZ-111 Quelin. Now, we don't really know if these tanks will be in the list. This could be something that Wargaming leaked to get the players into the wrong direction, but I think that the Object 268 version 5, it has been in the game files for a very long time. It could be coming, and I could imagine it coming to World of Tanks. But either way, I'm going to be making videos on the 14th, and I'm going to try to upload every single day so you are informed what is coming to the game. And hopefully you guys get a little bit of an idea what it's all about. So yeah, it's been a long video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Until then, have a good one and peace out.